because we are the Rink Brothers. Chad Rink, follow me on the X.
We are talking brackets.
We are talking brackets, y'all, as always. Follow me on X, at Chad Ochorenko. He's Nate Rink. Follow him on X, at Nate Lifters. Go to fanstreamsports.com for all our content from all our different locations. Go to Fanstream Sports Ohio and check out this show and all the other shows in Ohio. And I do want to stop before we do anything and appreciate everybody who has subscribed to Fanstream Sports Ohio. Yesterday, we hit 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much to all you that have subscribed and those that watch, too. I appreciate the ones that subscribe just to help us out that know us or know our wives or whatever. And are supporting it that way. But I do appreciate the ones that are watching. If you are watching, please like the video and please comment. The comments and the likes help as well. Even if you just comment and say, you two are idiots. Or like, hey, Nate's way better looking than Chad. Or whatever. Like, just talk about like whatever. I don't care what you comment. Just comment on that. So, Nate, how are you today?
Better than I deserve. How are you?
I'm doing well. So it was a long night last night. We talked about it. So just at a game that's 2 hours away and that kind of stuff. So season's almost ended for us. He's got one regular season game, then the tournament. So speaking of tournaments, what a segue that was. The tournament, the brackets, NCAA men's basketball is coming up just around the corner. We will be, I think it's like 2 weeks or starting a conference tournament. Some of these smaller conferences will start having their conference tournaments. Selection Sunday is March 15th. So we are about a month away. So what I wanted to do, because part of this show was obviously Nate and I can talk about stupid stuff and put them in a bracket. And that's why we do. We do it mostly for us. I appreciate that people want to watch it and stuff, but it's mostly for he and I just to have a time that we can talk about this and then have it recorded for the history so we can embarrass our kids. But also like talk sports as well. And so obviously with March Chadness, it is the brackets. But the best part about March Madness is the brackets, like filling out your sheet, watching that first weekend and being able to gloat if you win over your work colleagues or family. So this is the time to start looking at upsets, matchups, those types of things. So I want to talk today about a popular upset that people will take because it has happened quite a bit over the last several years is the 5-12 matchup. So that has been a popular one recently. I'm not going to go over the history because when I talk about the history of March Madness, like when you get before 2000 in the 80s and 90s, it was a different game. Nate and I grew up watching a different game, and old heads can say what you want, whether you like it or not. I don't mind some of the new strategies, that kind of stuff. Do you dislike the 3-point line? Do you dislike that everyone's shooting like 40 a game, Nate?
No, it's fine.
But yeah, I think what's missing is people think that's either a 3-point shot or a layup or the only two good shot selections, and a mid range is not.
15-foot jumper is
which here's I have played basketball since I was 7. I have coached. I've watched it. We grew up in Indiana, so we have basketball in our actual blood. That in like corn. So the best shots in basketball are the open shots. That bottom line, those are the best shots. So take those shots. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, but it's different. Like the 5-12 matchups back then are not like they are today. So I went back to 2013 through last year, and here are the 12 seeds that have won each year. I'm just going to tell you how many have won. Last year, 2-1. 2024, 2-1. 2023, all the 5 seeds won, so 0. 2022, 2 12 seeds won, and then 2021, 1 12 seed won. There was no tournament in 20. And then this is going to be 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. These are the 12 seeds that have won. 3 of them, 0, 1, 2, 0, 3, 3. So there's only been 3 times since 2013 that no 12 seeds have won. and you're going to average probably about 2. So the smart money is to at least pick 1. If you want to get fancy, pick 2. I don't think I would ever pick 3 unless the matchups are it. And so I thought, you know what? Let's look at the last 5 years. Because again, 10, 12 years ago, it's different. I think if you're going to look at trends in history, you look at the total big picture, but then when you're trying to really strategize, you really got to break it down to like the last 5. And that's with like fantasy football, whatever you are trying to do. So I've noticed there was no real like, oh, all the 12 seeds hit these metrics over the last 5 years. It really wasn't. So what I did notice, like last year, the 2 that won, Colorado State beat Memphis, McNeese State beat Clemson. So what I've noticed is the 12 seeds are usually going to be those teams out of like the mid-major schools. They're going to have 25, 27, 30 wins, and they're going to be decent teams. The 5 seeds are usually going to be the St. Mary's. There's one like Miami of Ohio could be one, but I don't think they're going to get there because of strength of schedule. But like those teams that are like in the smaller conferences, but they have proven over the several years that they've been good. They're just not in a good conference. They've only had like 3 or 4 losses, or they're going to be the 6th, the 8th team in like a major conference, like a Big Ten, SEC. So those are the teams you're kind of matching up. Like Memphis fit that bill last year. Like they're not in a major conference. They're not. And so I think that's what you're looking for these is a team like Memphis, St. Mary's, or like a couple years ago, Wisconsin. 2024, James Madison beat Wisconsin. James Madison had 31 wins. Wisconsin had 13 losses. So I think that's what you're looking for. And then the other one that lost in 2024, St. Mary's lost to Grand Canyon, coached by Bryce Drew, Valpo alum. I think that's what you're looking for this. Nate, what are your thoughts on the 512s? Do you like taking 512s? Is that your favorite upset to try to get because you know the history, or where do you stand on the 512s?
I usually do have at least one because, yeah, even if it's a team from a bigger conference, they're usually pretty far down and don't have nearly as good of a record, and are just because they're a bigger name, they're also probably just as beatable as a Memphis that's not really playing anybody all season long. I always try to throw quite a few upsets here and there, but yeah, the 12-5 is probably the one done the most. I'm never pulling out those 15 and 16s. If they happen, they happen.
Yeah, I was
about as far down as I go for upsets. That's where
I will do a 14. I don't know if Oakland was the 14 when they beat Kentucky, but that was one I liked and I happened to hit. Every now and then I'll do a 4. I will never do a 15, 16 because like I think there's only been one time a 15 or 2 times have made it the Sweet 16. So I'm like, I would just and if you're in a bracket, we'll talk about the brackets points and stuff later on as we get close to it. It's not about how many it's really getting the final 4, the finals, and the Elite 8. Like that's where you're getting the most points. Those are what you're really focusing on. And it's great to have and be able to say, hey, I picked that upset.
Yeah, it's more bragging rights than it is going to get you.
It's going to get you a point.
In the bracket.
Exactly. So, looking at what Lenardi has right now, you're looking at the 5 seeds he has is Virginia, St. John's, Arkansas, and Louisville. Those teams really don't fit too much what we're looking for to get upset. And then you got the 12 seeds are Stephen F. Austin, Liberty, Belmont, and South Florida. So I will say it seems like the teams that are upsetting as a 12 seed, they've been in the tournament recently, and they are in the top 100 in Ken Palm's offensive, defensive efficiency, which that would put, if Belmont and South Florida stay at 12s, they are teams that could be, because I think they are both top 80 in that. Their strength of schedule is okay. Austin and Liberty are just, they're pretty far down. So I don't know. And then it's just matchups too. Like Miami of Ohio, I think is now at 11. If they slip to a 12, I'm telling you right now, if Miami of Ohio slips to a 12, I will probably pick the 5 because I think everybody would have Miami of Ohio beating the 5 seed. And that's just one, like if I can pick up a point just being that different. If 80% of the field is on it, then that's kind of cool. And if I don't, well, it's 1 point. So I think other teams like Vandy, Alabama, and Tennessee could kind of maybe, if they move up from where they're at to get the 5, could be interesting. But most of these teams have fewer losses than I like. I tell you what, the one I think, and you are not going to like it because you had them in your Final Four, is Louisville could be a team just because that conference is not good. I think there's only 2 teams in the top 25. So that could be one. But those, when you're looking at the 5-12s, that's what you're looking at. You're kind of looking at matchups. You want a team that's probably going to be a little bit more senior driven guard. And if you just look at the KenPoms and just matchup wise, like, hey, this team has, like, this 12th seed has like 2 7-footers that are decent. That could be something that you want to do. But when you're looking at it, don't go too crazy with the 5-12s, and then don't go too crazy with the upsets. I look at 5-12s, and then we'll talk 6-11s next week. But those are the 2 that I really focus most of mine on. I really don't consider 7 and 10s and 8 9s upsets.
Right. I usually do 2 brackets, and one of them will be upset driven just because. But they never win, so I will say
because
that.
it's all about the fun. It's all about getting the points in the Final Four. If you get the champion, that is so. We'll talk about it once we get to the thing, but the focus on the champion, the Final Four, because if you get 3 of the Final Four, both championship teams and the champion, you have a very good chance of winning, even if you miss like 10 first-round games because of the point-wise.
You're still sitting in the driver's seat.
Exactly. So I'm interested once we get later on, because there's people that I watch that have a really good model of how to pick the champion and try to get different enough from the field, but not too crazy. Because that's really it, is like, if everybody picks Duke or Arizona, you're probably better off going the other way. But I don't want to spoil that episode later on that.
Too far ahead, man.
Getting too far ahead. So it's interesting. Like, it could be a year. It's been a couple years since. So if you go, so I'm just saying right now, trends since 2013, it was 3-3, then 0, 2-1, 0. So there were 2 years in between the 2 zeros, and then you had 3 no tournament, 1-2. So that no tournament, that doesn't count. So you had 2 and then 0. Then you've had 2 12s. This could be a year. I'm going to go on record. I'm going to take all the 5 seeds. All
right.
So you got to hold me accountable to that. You're going to pull this up when I pick a 12 seed on our Selection Sunday Sheet of Integrity show.
13 minutes and 25 seconds into episode 14.
Exactly. So he's gonna pull that up. He's gonna have Aiden put a reel out. So
right.
everybody,
it's going on the gram.
It's going on the gram. So I think I may lean that way. This is the way things are looking out. But again, we're still a month away. A lot of stuff can change. But I want to talk about matchups and how to.
If you do that, I'll take all 4 12s and we'll just see how it works.
There you go. Do that. That'll be sweet. It's never happened all 4 12s, I don't think. So yet. So yeah. So I think it's interesting to talk about some of these matchups. So next week we'll talk about the 6-11, and then we'll really kind of look at Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Fours, like trends of what seeds are in there. Because sometimes it's fun to pick the upsets, but when it gets down to the Elite 8, you need to really look at favorites and then maybe one like 6 to 10, 11 seed in there. So I'm excited for the brackets. It's one of my favorite sports moments of the year.
But this year looks like it could be a fun year, man.
I think so too, because they're the top teams. Like, there are 5 teams that I think are really, really good and probably are going to win it, but they don't look like that unbeatable. I know Arizona, had just lost here, but it took overtime. Yeah. So, I mean, like it in this kind of climate of how the sports is, you're not going to have like one of those like UNLV teams that went on that huge 2-year run with Larry Johnson and Stacey Augmon and stuff. Exactly. And then the Shark baby. And then Duke having that, like, I don't think you have too many of these like dynasty teams. I know Florida could be one that could win back to back, and UConn did it. But UConn, the 1 year they did it, they were a 4 seed. So it wasn't like they were like, hey, you got to look out for UConn. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. So we will take a quick break for some of our FanStream sponsors. And when we come back, it's a bracket of worst. And if you look at Nate's background in his shirt, you may be able to figure out what we're going to talk about. So this is March Chadness, FanStream Sports, Ohio. We'll be right back. I was right at the 16-minute mark. How great is that? We'll come back here in 6:10. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we are back. We're going to talk not the best, but we're talking the worst wrestling gimmicks from all the wrestling federations. So
encompassing all the years.
We're going back, everything. So to tell you right now, I was excited about this because I love the idea of, number one, the worst. Wrestling is just crazy popular, but I'm also not a huge wrestling guy anymore. My wrestling peaked like when I was in high school with the onset of Hulkamania to Ultimate Warrior's like peak time. That was kind of where I hit, because I think Ultimate Warrior was like late 80s. Did he fall in the 90s a little bit?
The heyday was late 80s.
Yeah. And that was it, because I was in high school there, and then I graduated, and then college. I just I didn't really stick with wrestling. You are 7.5 years younger than me, so you were hitting it when I was watching it because it was on at the house, and then you in the prime of when really the demographic of who wrestling is geared for. You hit that right when it went from kind of a cool thing that it really took off, because wrestling's been around forever, first of all, but it was really that Hulkamania in the mid 80s. But you hit it when McMahon was like, all right, we're gonna like take this to 11 and just get nuts with like, we're going to embrace it's not real, and we're going to make it it's pretty much a soap opera for dudes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So we're going to look at some of the worst gimmicks. So like, again, this was really past my, because most of the guys in our, like when I grew up, you had the good guy, and this is right in the middle of the Cold War. So the Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, like those guys, like the enemies. You had the Sergeant Slot, it was like Pro America, Hulkamania, Junkyard Dog. You had some cool wrestlers, but there was not the kind of storylines. And the biggest thing was like you had the characters, like you had Piper's Pit, which is always great because Piper was really the biggest, like I think, character of all of them. Him and Macho Man, and then Hulk was, but Hulk, it's not like now. And then what we're going to talk about is some of the gimmicks that came out, and I don't know what Vince McMahon and these guys are doing, but talk about your love for wrestling though, Nate.
Yeah, so when Vince bought everything up and started making it nationwide with the WWF at the time, that was in the early 80s. I was really young, but I remember it was on MTV. Cyndi Lauper was involved, Mr. T was involved.
Captain Lou Albano was in the Cyndi Lauper videos.
Yes, Captain Lou Albano. It was a big thing, and then it started dying down a little bit, but I was in that age group. Yeah, so, and when Ultimate Warrior came along, I was all in. And so when he won the belt from Hulk Hogan was WrestleMania 6, which was 1990. And that's kind of when that hit that peak. It's definitely for him because they realized he was a one-trick pony and he couldn't really carry the belt. But there was kind of a lull there for a while, and then it stopped being as, like, I had to watch it in secrecy and I wouldn't talk about it at school. Like, yeah, I still watch wrestling. And then I didn't watch it for a while. And then when I graduated and got my apartment, my first apartment, my neighbor, Dave Lawson next door, he'd have keg parties for Monday Night Raw. And I was like, wait, you still watch wrestling? And that was right in the heart of the Attitude Era. And then I got back in again. And that's when the nation kind of got all back in again at the peak of Stone Cold and The Rock. And now it's at this other level. There's still a lot of people I'll get to, wrestling's fake. I'm like, fake is a bad word. Scripted, yes, but you know what else is fake? The Avengers. All right. Did you guys see all of those movies? Yeah. You know what else is fake? Star Wars. I love that.
And you know what also might be fake? Like actual sports. Who knows?
Yeah. But I sent the comedian, I don't know what his name was, and he's like, people are like, wrestling's fake. He goes, you mean this thing with the fireworks and the pageantry and the gold belts and people who fight each other over little arguments? Of course it's fake. What kind of psychopath would I be if I thought it was real life?
Wait, the ladder match is scripted? What? I'm not talking about fake. What's the best if you go is some of the reams will pop up like in wrestling's fake, and it'd be like some like oddball either like in like Japan or some like redneck city in like South Dakota that have their little thing. And it's like the funniest thing. The one guy he was dressed as Mario. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
He was dressed as Mario, and then they had the box. He popped up the balloon. And he's a star balloon, and you can't beat him. It's that's fake. Real what? No.
But in Mick Foley's first book, I think he was wrestling in Germany at the time.
Okay.
He's like, it was a barbed wire. The ropes were made of barbed wire. It was a barbed wire match.
Okay. Yes.
He misses. He gets. That's why part of his ear's missing. He's at the hospital holding the part of his ear, and the nurse is numbing him up so they can try to reattach it. And in German, she says to him, "Oh, you're a wrestler." And he's like, "Yeah." She goes, "So it's fake, right?" And he's like, "I'm holding my ear that I lost in a match." I guess.
And here's the thing, like. It is scripted. It always like maybe early on when you talk like black and white stuff, but I still think it has to have been like it's scripted. Like they still have to do that stuff. Like the guy's still jumping off the top rope. It's not fake because if it was fake, if someone did a pile driver, someone probably would be paralyzed. You have to practice it. It's scripted. These guys
banned the pile driver because guys were getting really bad neck injuries.
Well, here's the thing that's crazy about it. Like it's surprising when we grew up, like that kids did not paralyze kids a lot trying to emulate the pile driver with their brothers. It's like, that's the thing that boggles my mind that like there was like, cause I don't think there was, we didn't have social media. Maybe there were a few, but there was not enough where there was like a news segment on, hey kids, don't pile drive your brothers and friends.
Right, and that was like the only real dangerous move that you could do back then. I rewatched that Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior match. I go, man, I remember loving this in 6th grade, but was it really an hour of body slams? Like there was like the moves are very dialed down compared to what it is today. Guys are doing insane stuff.
Right. Yeah. So it's fake. It's fake. So we want to talk about because I did not realize until I started looking into some of the stuff, like how insane. Some of these wrestlers, they tried because that's the other thing. They tried it thinking, hey, let's see if this takes. And I'm like, how did you even in the meeting think that, oh, I don't know, Mike Awesome Fat Chick Thriller was going to take off, which I learned a lot of stuff. Like Mike Awesome was he did other things. That's why I found out a lot of this. Like a lot of these guys are like, is this the same guy plays a lot of these guys on here. Or that they were a wrestler, they did this, or they tried this, and then something hit. So we're going to talk about some of the fun kind of stuff there. So we are doing 32 because why not? 16 would have been crazy, I think. But go if you're interested, go watch like any top 100 worst gimmicks ever. If your favorite is not on here. So let's pull the bracket up here real quick.
Yeah, and let me just address this for the diehard wrestling fans. There's a few obscure guys, but most of these guys were pretty well known if you watch wrestling. We could have done 32 of guys that nobody's ever heard of, and it wouldn't have been nearly as fun. So
yeah, that's just it. We didn't want to just throw in some guy like what he was like in one like episode of wrestling back in like 2004, and no one remembered it. So we try to keep it popular worst. So. Here's the top of the bracket. Everyone that knows wrestling should know Doink the Clown. He is probably he's not the number one overall. He's not. We'll get down to the other overall number one. He's going against Bruce Bar Beefcake, who was a big time wrestler. He probably held the Intercontinental Championship belt and maybe the heavyweight belt at one time. He was a good wrestler. I always liked Beefcake, but. It's a stupid gimmick. Then you got Boogeyman, Papa Shango, Disco Inferno, Honky Tonk Man, Bastion
dance off.
Booger. Yes, the dance off, and then Bastion Booger and Mr. Iguana to round out the top part of the top bracket. So talk about Doink. Do you remember when Doink first came on the wrestling scene?
Yeah, and I didn't think he was going to last long, and he lasted entirely too long. I don't know what it is.
How long? Like how long was he in? Like a couple years?
He was on for a while. I remember there was a wrestling game on the Sega Genesis, and there was only like 8 characters, and he was one. It was like Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon. It was like big name. It was like Doink the Clown. He'd pull out the mallet and stuff, and you're just like, he lasted entirely too long. And then when that started dying off, they did what you would naturally do. They gave him a little person dressed up as a clown, and it was Dink. So there was Doink and Dink the Clown.
Yes.
And,
that's how. That's when you know you've reached elite status in your job. If they bring out a mini version of you.
Yes.
Dink did not make the list though, but he was probably not out as often. It was probably at the end of Doink's.
It was
okay to try to like, and it might have coincided with Austin Powers movie though too.
And I believe there was multiple people who played Doink the Clown over the years.
I'm sure there is, because if they just had the same body type, you just put the makeup on and then you can go. So I like
one of them actually was Chris Jericho.
Was it really?
Well, I think he was like banned from a match or something, and so he was able to sneak in as Doink the Clown.
Oh, okay.
I was like, they're bringing back Doink the Clown. He starts doing moves. I go, those are Jericho moves, and at the end he revealed it. It was awesome.
See, that's the beauty of wrestling, that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I always liked Bruce Bar Beefcake. I liked him, Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. But I thought, why is he the barb? Like, does he have to have the barber name? Like, what? Like that?
I don't know how it came to be, but that became the gimmick. You put him in the sleeper hold. When he's out, you cut his hair.
And you cut his hair, just like as you would.
Yeah.
So, as I think Brutus the Barber Beefcake is number one, too good of a wrestler. Number two, the gimmick really, like, you kind of forgot, like, oh yeah, he did, like, that wasn't like the main part of who he was, where Doink the Clown, like, that's the huge gimmick. So,
well, Kelly's cousin Tony, told me, he's like, Brutus the Barber in there. When he went to WCW, they tried to get different gimmicks with him, and one of them was the Booty Man, where he'd just come out with like kind of assless pants on. And then another one was the Zodiac. If you look at the Zodiac, you're like, okay, what were they thinking? But it doesn't matter if we use Brutus Beefcake, Booty Man, or Zodiac. Doink is still worse.
Gotcha. So yes, Doink is worse. This is it. We're going worst, not best. Worst. So Boogeyman, Papa Shango. I did not really look up Boogeyman. The one clip I watched of Papa Shango, and I'm going to bring this up because I will. There's not many hills I will die on with wrestling. Here's the one hill I will die on with all of wrestling, and I will fight you on it. I'll cage match you on it.
All right.
The all-time GOAT, greatest ever character person in wrestling is Mean Gene Okerlund. That dude was phenomenal as the announcer, because he was the straight man, but he was still funny, and he just went along with anything, and he was the best. And that's the one I saw Papa Shango like putting the curse on him, and like he loses the microphone, and I'm like, Mean Gene's the best. Like, and Mean Gene was there like from when I watched it with Piper's Pit. He'd do the match. Like, Mean Gene Okerlund, just a shout out to Mean Gene Okerlund.
Or as the Iron Sheik called him, Gene Mean. Gene Mean.
Dude, the Sheik, when he was alive, was one of the best Twitter / X follows of all time. So
always just F the Hulk Hogan.
Exactly. Exactly. So Papa Shango, his main thing was he would just kind of he was like a voodoo guy putting curses on people. What was Boogeyman's thing?
He was literally the boogeyman. He'd come out. He was,
the makeup or whatever.
He had contacts in. He was always had a mouthful of worms, and I think that was one thing. Vince was like, "Hey,
how do you feel about him?" Because they put a little boogeyman too, didn't they?
Yeah, yes.
I did. So I did see the boogeyman. Yes. So yeah, I'm like, is that actual worms in his mouth?
It was.
All right,
It
then.
was awful. Papa Shango, Charles Wright, who played him, found his niche as the Godfather later, who almost made this for us.
And then
Who
he
was
was,
the
then he was,
wrestling pimp with the hoe train, and he'd bring the hose out with him.
and then he turned into the good father because Vince McMahon was like, this like, so then he was like the preacher. He was like the weirdest thing, and people hated him as the preacher, but loved him as the pimp. So
Yes.
I did not realize he was. So
Same guy. Yes.
Yeah. I really don't have a leaning. Do you have a leaning either way on which one of these is worse?
I think Boogeyman is worse.
I think so too, because I think Papa Shango, from the little I saw of him, kind of brought back that old school, like, because the old wrestling was the interview and the smack talk. And a dude that is like into like the dark arts, voodoo, putting curse on people, plays right in to what wrestling is. And it was kind of like great with the Boogeyman. It's just weird.
It is just weird.
And now we have like a bigger little guy off, I guess, in the next round against Doink.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Honky Tonk Man. I remember Honky Tonk Man. I do not know anything about Disco Inferno, although you do refer to this as the dance off. Yeah.
Disco Inferno would come out and do the Travolta from Saturday Night Fever, which was like super outdated. I don't know why they thought that was going to be like.
Did he really? Now, was he a guy, like, was he like an actual wrestler at one point, or did he go on to do other things?
Yes, he was, and he wasn't a bad wrestler. It was just a bad gimmick. It was.
I gotcha.
It was so bad that everybody kind of just liked it. You know, he was in WCW. It was.
Did he come out like in the white suit and stuff like Travolta?
He would come out sometimes. Yes, he would come out sometimes in that, sometimes in other gear. But yes,
I got you.
And then Honky Tonk Man would do his little dance because he
was
the Elvis impersonator guy.
Exactly. So I think Disco Inferno has to win. Like, that's just a horrible, like, because this had to be done in like either the 90s or 2000s, which is
it was in the late 90s,
like
Disco
20
Inferno.
years after Saturday Night Fever, and this is like even before probably Pulp Fiction, when John Travolta had his
resurgence.
Yeah, so that just like
Honky Tonk Man was the better wrestler. Also, I think he had the 454-day reign as Intercontinental Champion. Which
was he really? There you go.
Which stood until 2023 when Gunther
there you go
held it longer. But yeah, Disco Inferno. It was like, why?
Yeah, and didn't Honky Tonk? Did he come out? I can't remember too much. Did he come out doing the dance, or was that just pretty much after he won?
Yeah, he'd get in the ring and he'd do a little dance.
Gotcha. Yeah,
once he got in there.
I gotcha. Bastion Booger, Mr. Iguana. I have no idea what Mr. Iguana is, but I bet you he was painted green and he probably had an iguana. He's probably like the Timo, like Jake the Snake Roberts kind of guy.
Very decent way to put it. Yeah. So I just added him on here. We were watching Royal Rumble last week when it was on, and I was like, who's Mr. Iguana? And he comes out, he crawls to the ring like an iguana. He's got a little stuffed iguana that he carries in his mouth or puts on his hand. And I was like, this gimmick is like 40 years late. This is this is an 80s gimmick.
It is. Well, the fact too that you can't get a real iguana, you got to get a stuffed like that should immediately just disqualify you. Bastion Booger, so the guy that played Bastion Booger did do many different, and he seems like he's kind of a decent dude. The interviews I've watched of him, and like he just tried stuff. And this one though, I don't understand the rationale behind let's just make this really gross guy a thing.
Yeah, initially when he came to WWE, he was Friar Ferguson, so he's a wrestling friar.
Yes, I saw that.
Everybody's clamoring for. But I guess the religious people did not take kindly to that. So
yes.
There's him talking about it, and he's Vince was like, hey, we're gonna kind of lay you off for till we find out what's going on. And to Vince's credit, he did pay him while he sat at home, and then like a month later he's like, I got this gimmick. And initially he was going to come out with a mask, but it looked too much like Van Vader. So I guess the last decision was we're just going to make you super gross and just eat anything. And did you see this story of him? He's sitting there and he's being interviewed and he's just eating all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you eating? He's like, that's all raw food. He's like, I'm hungry and I'm going to eat Razor Ramon like this food. And he's eating all this raw food. And then it turns out a day later, he did get hospitalized for salmonella.
As you would when you eat raw food. So kids, here's the lesson. Don't eat raw. Make sure your food is cooked. That's why I won't touch sushi. Like Sarah, it's good. I guess there's some sushi that they don't use the raw fish. I am not. No, thank you. There's enough food I like that I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to like. I don't. There's no food. I think I would be like, you know what? I'm gonna risk getting really sick because it's good. That good.
No,
Maybe cereal.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So Bastion Booger obviously wins because that was one of the most disgusting and just like the dumbest. Like he might be even too low of a seed as a 5 seed because it's just dumb. Like it's just a big fat gross guy eating. Like that's like half the wrestlers, I think. All right.
Well, for a time.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go next bracket here. Next part of this bracket, Repo Man Goldust, which is a phenomenal matchup. I think you've got IRS Stardust. We could have a dust off. Sound the alarm. This Manitor, which is I think he might be one of my favorite ones that they just decided to do against Hurricane Helms. And then spoiler, I think my favorite of all of them is Isaac Yankem DDS against Val Venus. So Nate, like, do you have like a favorite one of these worst like gimmick people?
Yeah, I think it's got to be the fighting dentist. I don't know if that makes me a rabid anti-dentite, but who is like, man, you know what demographics not being represented well in wrestling? The dentists. All right?
And then like it's not like some of these other ones where he could go into his thing like someone like they have a dentist chair. Like who? Like what? Like are people getting like root canals backstage and then he can come in? Like I never, like I said, I didn't watch it then, but that part of it is phenomenal. And the guy that played Isaac Yankem DDS, you may know him better as
Kane.
Yeah.
So, or Glenn Jacobs, former mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. So
was he really?
Isaac Yankem went on to become a mayor.
How, like, what? Like, I understand because there's a comedian that talks about it where, like, him and his girlfriend or wife are watching a thing, and like she was like surprised that Dwayne Johnson was such a good actor, and he's like, what you mean, the wrestler that would go on there? He's like, nobody is known by their very first role ever. He is known as The Rock.
Right.
Like, and he's like, he would like, of course he's a good actor. He would wrestle for 20 minutes and then go on off script, a 30-minute monologue that was phenomenal. Of course he was great. But yeah, so like it's just crazy that some of these things were an actual thing. So let's go Repo Man Goldust. I think Goldust had a longer, I don't know, like he may have had a longer career. It seems like he's more popular, like, and a better wrestler. And
he's still wrestling now.
Is he really?
It's Dustin Runnels. It's Dusty Rhodes' voice.
Okay.
Him and Cody are half brothers. But yeah, so he started in WCW in like the late 80s. He's in some of those great war game matches with the old Sting with the flat top.
Yeah.
And then when he came to WWE, they just kind of, I don't know, we're going to make you this androgynous drag queen guy who kind of looks like modeled after the Oscar statue, and we're going to put you in a wig.
And it was one of the worst like makeup job. Like it is so bad. Like it is so bad. I don't get it. And then Repo Man was another guy that did a couple things, and it was something where he got laid off. Was it the same guy?
He was Smash and Demolition, and then he became Repo Man.
And it seemed like because I saw an interview with him, he talked about he kind of like there was nothing really for him to do, and he said, "Hey, why don't you come up with some characters?" And he used to be a Repo Man before he wrestled, and he's like, "Hey, what if I just do this?" Watching some of the.
Do you think when he was a Repo Man, he wore like the Zorro Lone Ranger mask? Because I don't know why that was part of the Repo Man gimmick.
I don't know, and it seemed like it was like the wrestling version of like the Hamburglar because he would just steal stuff, right?
Yeah. Rumble.
Like, but it was funny because he seemed like he was like just like you kind of liked him. He was just like, hey, he just comes sneaking, like he'd show up in like some promo thing. And then he would,
it's the Repo Man.
And he's like, I got your hubcap or whatever and stuff. So it's like, I love it because it is so stupid, but it's kind of great because you just kind of like, the Repo Man, like you'd be excited to see him. Did he actually wrestle though, or he was just?
Yeah, he wrestled.
I got you. These are both pretty cheesy. Are you on the Repo Man side of this?
I am on the Repo Man side. Dustin Rhodes as Gold Dust. He didn't like the gimmick either, but he had quite a solid career.
Well, that's just it. I think
and he was he was a better wrestler, and it is weird and silly, but it's not.
So did he start? Did that kind of start his career to get him in, or did he do stuff and then just?
Vince McMahon, I don't think was a big fan of. When they got Dusty Rhodes, they put him in the polka dots and had him come down with Sapphire and dance like crazy.
Yeah.
And Dusty wasn't a big fan of what they did with him. And then with Dustin, same thing. It was kind of like, we're just going to give you this. And, if you don't like it, you can leave. But this is what you're getting.
Yeah, it seems like Vince McMahon, like he took care of the people and he for what he turned to wrestling in, you got whether you like he's a piece of trash human being. But for what he did with wrestling is like a kind of a genius thing. But it seems like if you wronged him,
he held a grudge.
Yes. And then you would have to do these stupid things. So, all right. So then Stardust, was that the other? Was that Cody?
Cody
Rhodes?
Cody. Yes. Right. They were like, well, we don't really know what to do with you. So
we'll make you another one. So is it basically like the same thing, just different makeup?
Yeah, he had a big star painted on his face, but he was silver instead of gold. He was Stardust. And that's why he ended up leaving WWE and he helped start AEW. And he got himself branded as the guy he is now, who's the champion. When they brought him back in, and he's the first guy out of his dad or his brother to hold that WWE belt. So, he believed in himself and he took a gamble on himself. He's like, I'm better than Stardust. All right.
Aren't we all? And then IRS, because you just think it's someone's coming out as IRS agent, but the IRS actually stands for
Erwin R. Shyster.
Yeah. Which it seems like a name you and I would have come up with when we would do wrestling on mom and dad's bed when we weren't allowed to, when they were not home. And then there's a great story on that, but it was just, and he would come out with a suit or with the briefcase.
Yeah,
he's some IRS agent.
Glasses, the suspenders. It was Mike Rotunda, who was way too good of a wrestler to be given the Erwin R. Shyster.
No, I've heard of Mike. Yeah, I've heard of him. So, but it's a dumb gimmick because it was really just he'd come out like that, and then he didn't have any move that was some IRS
No, there was no IRS theme.
I can't even think we should have brought Mom on at her time at the IRS.
But there was never once where he came out and
did
the wrestler had to be removed because he didn't pay his taxes, which is sitting right there.
Right. Yeah. Or he's doing the, he's doing the 1049 or the 1099R is the move or something. So, well, that's just stupid. So you could just do that. Anybody come out and be which they did because they were think there's probably lawyers and stuff. So IRS beating Stardust.
IRS is beating Stardust.
All right, both the
we're not getting a dust off.
Both the Rhodes brothers miss. So there was a story. Nate and I were wrestling, and it was on mom and dad's bed. They were not home, and we were not allowed to do that.
They were the only ones the king size bed. It was the size of the wrestling.
You had to. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So we were wrestling, and again, it was still fake. We kind of scripted stuff. You just do, and I think you threw me against the ropes, the quote unquote ropes. And I came back and you clotheslined me. I threw my hands up and it shattered the little glass thing that was over the light on their bed. And we thought we were going to die because you've heard Jim Rink stories before. And there's no way you can cover that up. Yeah. So we just had to, I don't remember the ire and stuff. I don't even remember how we got in trouble. If we got in trouble, it may have been Mom may have knew it first and went out and bought a new one. Who knows? Yeah,
Mom might have covered first because I don't remember getting in trouble. I just remember it happening. We both gave each other.
We are in deep crap. But we are still here to talk about it. So that was it. Yeah. So Hurricane Helms, was he a decent wrestler or was it just he's just known for Hurricane Helms, or was it?
Shane Helms was all right. He was a kind of a smaller guy, but yeah, they gave him the Hurricane Helms, and it kind of took off as one of those this is so stupid, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It got even better when he got the sidekick named Rosie, who was the superhero in training, the SHIT.
Right. Outstanding. Manitar.
I'm convinced Vince just in the back area there was this giant like mascot head of the Minotaur, and he's like, "Oh, we're using that. Just throw it on anybody. Throw them out there."
Yes, because the Minotaur is the opposite of the centaur, which is the human body with the horse legs. This was the Minotaur body, human legs. I think that's got to be it. Whereas, like, it was just sitting there forever and ever, and he's like, we got to do something with this. So, do you have? He wasn't a good wrestler then, was he? Because did he wrestle with the Minotaur head, right?
No, he took it off when he get in the ring because there's no way you could see out of that thing. It was
okay,
huge.
well that kind of I'm kind of sad about that now. I don't know. I'm gonna have to take Hurricane Helms here in an upset. If you can't wrestle with the Minotaur head on, then I don't know if you deserve a win. What do you have a?
I think that's why it makes it the best worst one, because it didn't even make it to the ring. Like he'd take it off and then it was just some schlub, you know.
I think you're right. This is the worst. And that is the worst. Like, you can't even wrestle with your gimmick. That is the worst. So Minotaur wins, and that makes me happy because I just love the idea of a Minotaur and how, like, I think that probably was what BoJack Horseman ended up getting its inspiration from. So
where they got the idea.
All right, Val Venus, I guess, was a porn star. Yes. I mean, the dentist is going to win this, but like what? Like that could not have lasted long, right? Like
longer than you would think, because he came out with a bunch of hot chicks, and so it was the Attitude Era. And it's like, oh, I guess is bringing the ladies.
Was that in the late '90s,
dude? And you'd see the ladies in the crowd get all excited for Val Venus, and he'd come out in like a towel, do like but he just had his wrestling gear on.
Yeah,
underneath. I mean, it was the tights.
Was that in the '90s or was that 2000s?
Yeah,
that was the 90s, 80s, and 90s.
No, that was in the late 90s to early 2000s.
Yeah, the 80s and 90s was a whole different era. So, all right, now we're gonna go to the number 1 overall seed, and I had never heard of this guy until you said this is probably the reason why we have to have this bracket. The Shockmaster, who may have the most infamous entrance of a character in entire sports, cinema, whatever history. He's going up against Rick the Model Martyr, Typhoon
Martel.
Martel.
Yes.
I'll fix that. He's not going to win, but anyway.
He's not beating the Shockmaster.
Typhoon Earthquake, a epic 8-9 battle.
Natural disasters off.
It would be a natural disaster. That would be an epic battle. It seems like the Sci-Fi Channel should have made a movie with Typhoon versus Earthquake, starring Debbie Gibson.
They could have done Sharkfoon and Sharkquake.
They could have. That would have been. I would have
out on the opportunity.
I would have watched them. All those sci-fi things back then were phenomenal. Brooklyn Brawler, one of your favorites, and Red Rooster. Brooklyn Brawler did make the Wrestling Guess Who that I made you.
That's right.
He did. He's the only one on this list I think that did. And then the Mountie and someone that I actually have heard of and watched wrestle, Big Boss Man. So
the authority off.
The authority, exactly. Shockmaster's going to win. We can talk about Shockmaster a little bit more when it matters to keep this thing rolling. Typhoon, Earthquake. I thought both these guys were the same guy, but Typhoon was also, spoiler alert, Tugboat Thomas, which we'll get to later, right?
Fred Ottman. He was also the Shockmaster.
Was he?
Yes.
All right. Well, we can have a Fred Ottman.
That was in WCW, and then when he came to WWE, he started as Tugboat Thomas, which we will get to. And then when that didn't work, so they put him with the Earthquake, who was already established, and they became the tag team, the Natural Disaster.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
Right.
And they were a decent tag team, right? They would.
They held the belts.
Okay, yeah. You going Typhoon over Earthquake so we can have a Ottman off?
You know it.
That's it. Sometimes you just take one for the brand and for the television there. So I imagine Earthquake and Typhoon were probably built the same and they wrestled the same. So it doesn't really matter. And if we can have an Ottman off, then we will. Brooklyn Brawler, Red Rooster. Like you actually like the Brooklyn Brawler. Like you enjoy him, right?
It's just because you knew whoever was wrestling was going to win. Like it'd be like the Saturday morning wrestling show. And it's like Ultimate Warrior's fighting. Who's he fighting? Oh, Brooklyn Brawler. Okay,
Brooklyn Brawler. So he was
the
pretty
leather
much
derby hat, and he looked like he was wearing Booger's Who Farted shirt from Revenge of the Nerds 2, like holes in it and stains all on it.
Yeah, so like he was after I watched, but he was really just like he would rarely win, right? He was just like
I don't think I ever saw him win a match. He was the jobber they'd throw in.
Which is weird because they never like had any kind of like when I wrestled, it was always like Stan Gibson. And it was some pasty white guy that has no like. So having a
Barry Horowitz almost made this.
Yeah, having a gimmick and still just never winning is kind of great. I watched the thing about the Red Rooster was just stupid. It was like he had a red mohawk, right? And they would do the little
Terry Taylor.
Chicken. Yeah.
What if we give you a red mohawk and you walk around like a rooster?
Walk around like a chicken. And I don't think his chicken rooster walk was even that good.
No, it wasn't.
All right, Brooklyn Baller wins. Big Boss Man, the Mountie. Big Boss Man was like legit good.
Yeah,
he wrestled.
So was Jacques Rougeau, who was the Mountie of the fabulous Rougeau brothers. But the Mountie gimmick is
so one of the Rougeau brothers was the Mountie.
Yep, Jacques Rougeau.
Wow, because I know that. See, I know the Rougeau brothers. I know that name just from wrestling. Been around my whole life. So what was the Mountie's gimmick? Did he come in on a horse?
No, but he had the whole gear with the hat and the So he was like, they're like, Big Boss Man's working. Let's try a Mountie.
Let's see if we get the Canadian audience in on wrestling. So I'm gonna say then the Mountie just because like it seems
stupid.
They're both stupid, but it's stupider.
Yes.
Like just because like so it's like so he came in like was it the guy from like the Rocky Bullwinkle Dudley Do-Right? Was it Dudley Do-Right? Yeah, yes. So he came in as like Dudley Do-Right. All right, there you go. So the Mountie wins against the Brawler. So then we've got I'll go to the bracket one last time here. Tugboat Thomas, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Eugene the Genius, the Gene Off, George the it just came to me right then. George and I typed these in and that just came to me right then. George the Animal Steel, one of my all-time favorites. Akeem the African Dream, Gobbledygooker, Hillbilly Jim. So Hacksaw Duggan, Hillbilly Jim were in my wheelhouse. Dad loved him some Hillbilly Jim.
Yeah. And don't go messing with the country boy.
So both of those gimmicks were just stupid. So Tugboat Thomas, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Tugboat Thomas was like, they brought him in as a sidekick to somebody, right?
Oh, that was just his gimmick. They like put a freaking sailor hat on him and have him go whoop whoop.
But then didn't he like?
Because he was as big as a tugboat. I don't know.
Right, I guess I knew he did the tugboat horn, but didn't he like tag team up or like he would come like with somebody like to kind of like give him legitimacy? I thought I was watching that. No,
they just kind of threw him in there, and
they tried to make him. And if you have not seen Tugboat Thomas, he had the like red and white, like horizontal striped. Like old timey bathing suit. No, it's not.
The Popeye the Sailor Man hat.
Yes, exactly. So,
and Fred Ottman again. Let's give it up for Fred Ottman.
Fred Ottman
3 times.
He's on here 3 times. He is the GOAT of the worst gimmick. So, I think he beats Hacksaw Jim Duggan because Jim Duggan would win matches, and then him and Hillbilly Jim like were the tag team there for a minute, weren't they?
No, he was more along the lines with the I think him and Hulk did something there for a little bit. Hacksaw, what was his gimmick though? I'm Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I come down with a hacksaw, right?
Hacksaw.
Oh,
no. That's what I thought. I thought like him or Hillbilly Jim, like they partnered up with another like hillbilly guy. But yeah, that's right. He was Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but he had a 2x4.
Yes, and then it's like, do I get a cool catchphrase? Like the hacksaw is gonna cut you down. No, you're just gonna put your thumb up and go. Oh, it's like I don't understand any of this. But
I think this is a closer.
You bring an American flag down and you chant USA, and the crowd will love.
Crowd will go nuts in your overalls. Yes, I think because Hacksaw Jim Duggan was beloved and everybody loved his gimmick and didn't realize. I don't think people realized how stupid the gimmick was until like after the fact. Where I think it is I'm telling you right now, like now that you talk it all out. It's pretty stupid, and he probably should have been high in the 14th seat.
It is not as stupid as Tugboat Thomas.
It is not as stupid as like you are Tugboat Thomas. Why? I don't know. Just put on this Popeye sailor hat and get out there and do the horn noise. Because again, it's a gimmick to just be a gimmick. Like he's not doing the motorboating on. Did he motorboat? If he motorboated people as this thing, then that would be it. But no. This one's like, I think probably the best matchup of all the matchups we've had. You have Eugene, who, if you don't know, was special needs. Now, full disclosure, he was not an actual special. They didn't bring a special needs, like Down syndrome adult out to wrestle. It was a guy that pretended to be special needs and stuff. And then the genius, Leapin' Lanny Poffo, I believe, brother of the Macho Man.
That's right.
And here's where the genius, it's kind of genius. He would come out and do his promos, and he would like recite poetry and like be all smarty pants, but it really wasn't like reciting poetry isn't smart. It's like I can read. Like, even if you write poetry, it's not like he's out there like solving the Goodwill Hunting equation.
Yeah, he's not doing quantum physics out there.
He's not. No, he's not like coming up. He's not doing like the whole like doing all these little things to try to find the angles and like to do these great wrestling moves. That would be amazing if he'd have to solve an equation while he was wrestling.
Yeah,
and he couldn't pin the guy until he finished the equation. Now that right now, that is even better. That's better. I just came up with it right now. That is so much better. You give me anytime you can throw a dry erase board anywhere, I'm in. Dry erase board. He's got to solve the equation. He can still wrestle, but
the other guy can fight him. He's not allowed to fight back.
No, he's allowed to fight. He just can't pin the guy.
Okay.
So like he's not just getting beat. Like he can. So if he throws him out of the ring is the key for the genius of this one. If you throw the guy out of the ring or can really knock him out for a minute, then you can really get going on the equation.
Special needs is such a bad idea. It's got to go to the
It is such a bad idea that it has to move on. And I feel bad for kind of like liking that they did this. Again, it's given the special needs community someone to root for, because I don't want to, don't label me, but if you did data on this, I'm pretty sure wrestling was probably very big in the special needs Down syndrome community.
Oh,
I would imagine
Shane Gillis will confirm.
Shane Gillis will confirm that. All right. Speaking of special needs, George the Animal Steel, Akeem the African Dream. George the Animal Steel came up with us. It was the weirdest thing because he would just come out as just not talk. He had the green tongue, super hairy, and
super hairy. Can we?
And
talk
like
about
you said,
how hairy that guy was?
Dude, he was, and as you said, his main gimmick was what?
Eating the turnbuckle.
He would eat the turnbuckle,
out of the turnbuckle,
which I guess is a good move if then you eventually throw the guy into that unpadded turnbuckle.
Right. He did have a big crush on Miss Elizabeth, so
dude, I totally forgot about that, and that was him in the Macho Man. Like, it was like because she was super nice to him.
Who didn't have a crush on Miss Elizabeth?
Who did like, dude? You and I talked about having like I
had the poster of her on my wall.
Like having a bracket of our crushes growing up. Like Miss Elizabeth would be in there and probably be one of the top seeds. So Akeem the African Dream, talk about him.
George Gray, born in Illinois, grew up in South Carolina, and they're like, hey, we're going to put you in African garb, and you're going to speak like you're a black guy, and you're going to dance around like this, and somehow nobody was offended.
It was the 90s.
Akeem, the African Dream, big fat white guy from South
Dakota.
Yes. But he came out with Slick, so I think that made it kind of legit.
I guess
like,
if Slick's vouching for you, then you can't say anything. So is the animal winning this one? Or is the I got
Akeem the African Dream just for sheer racism alone. It's a worse idea.
Yeah, I think I agree with you because I don't even know what George Animal Steel like. He was the animal, but like
he had a move. I don't know. I remember.
I don't know if he would wrestle, but I don't really remember that. He would just kind of lurk around. So like he's not even an animal. So yeah,
nobody wanted to tie up with him with all that hair, man.
No, and he was probably pretty sweaty. So All right, African Dream on Hillbilly Jim, Gobbledygooker. I'm not even going to talk about this. It's the Gobbledygooker,
Yep.
the Gooker. If you even like, we will talk about him here in the next round. Like his coming out party in wrestling
Survivor Series
is crazy. Yeah, I was looking into that. I was like, what? So, all right, that was a long, but we kind of talked a lot about most of these guys. So, Doink the Clown, Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is gross. Doink
is stupid.
Is stupid. Yes. I'm getting the feedback on your end again too. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know. Sometimes it does that and then it just goes away.
Yeah, I heard it when I listened back to it, but
okay. All right. So Doink Clown's going to win. It's just a stupider gimmick because it's a clown. Disco Inferno, Bastion Booger. This is a 4-5 matchup. They're both dumb, but like dancing is not nearly as dumb as
fat
gross guy eating and just like it. Because then again, like how does that work in the ring? He licks you sometimes.
I'm gonna eat him alive.
Yes, this is a fun little matchup. You got the Repo Man and the IRS. They kind of would go to that would be a good tag team. You know, like the IRS, like, hey, you owe taxes. All right, we're gonna take your stuff.
Yes.
So there you go. Are you leaning either way? I didn't know like if anyone was like more like a better wrestler. I think they're both dumb.
Mike Rotunda was a better wrestler.
That's right. He was a better wrestler, but the IRS is a dumb. But I think the Repo Man has to win because it's kind of a more fun gimmick. Where the IRS, he's just dressed up as that. And how many times do wrestlers just show up and they are like, hey, this guy, and he comes out like the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Like it just kind of feels like that.
Well, just like IRS did hook up with Ted DiBiase. They were together for a little bit. I'm going IRS. I sent it to my buddy Ed and see if he'll text back.
There you go. We got to differ on something here. So we'll move on. As much as the Manitar and wanting to believe that it was just a Manitar head back there and they decided we got to use this. And as dumb as it is, like the dentist, like
it's what were we thinking?
What are we thinking? He's going in, he's pulling people it's just of all the professions to do that, like the dentist and wrestling just did not seem it would be the one to pair together.
No.
All right, we can talk Shockmaster here. He's going to beat Typhoon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you've never seen when Shockmaster came out, like they were trying to make this like a huge deal. Like he was going to be some next big thing. They had like 4 guys talking about it.
So it was like it was leading up to the 93 War Games match, where the War Games is they put 2 rings together and they surround both rings in a cage, and each team gets 4 or 5 guys. And Stinger Squadron. They're like, oh, we got this surprise guy. They were fighting Sid Vicious's team. Okay. Like, you're going to be shocked when you see him. It's the Shockmaster. And you can look it up. It's hilarious. Pyrotechnics go off and he comes busting through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, but he trips and falls and his helmet comes off and he has to put it back on. And even with the helmet on, it was like a stormtrooper mask that was glittered and bedazzled. And he was wearing like a fur vest, which I don't know how that goes with anything. And then there was like a dubbed over voice that was supposed to be him talking. That was kind of supposed to be Darth Vader-ish, I guess. But I saw Sid Vicious talking about it. He goes, I told the guys when where the wall he was supposed to go through, there was a 2x4 on the bottom. I was talking to the grips and stuff. I'm like, you need to get rid of that 2x4 because he's going to trip over that. And like, no, it's fine. And sure enough, he comes busting through the wall. It was so bad that I don't think he even wrestled in that helmet at the War Games. I think he came down with like as a construction worker, with a construction hat on. Like, so the Shockmaster didn't even last to a match as the gimmick.
Well, it was the hype that it came up, and I was thinking about it because I've watched this several times because it's like
hilarious.
Drywall, like if you're strong enough, like it's very like all you gotta do is like, again, why are you if this isn't a wall, it's not a load bearing wall, Jerry. Like you shouldn't have any 2x4s. There should be a space you can come in, and you should have already pre-cut several places where it just busts through. It's the funniest thing because the top part from like his like thighs up go through. None of the bottom drywall goes, and he goes to bust through and just falls over. The helmet comes off. And again, had it been like a Darth Vader like costume, that'd be one thing. It's like, what are we doing here? The mask is so bad. It is a Stormtrooper mask that was bedazzled and glittered. So it is,
and he couldn't see out of.
No. So, and again, so shout out to Ottman for that. Brooklyn Brawler, the Mountie. I think we go Brawler.
I'm gonna go Brawler.
The fact that I didn't.
The guy never won a match. He can win another round.
Exactly. So I thought he was maybe like a mid-level, like, hey, he's just kind of this guy. Like, I didn't realize he was like the.
It was him and Barry Horowitz.
He was the meat that the guy. Like... I did not realize that. All right, I'm going to go down to the bottom one first. Gobbledygooker, Hakeem, the African Dream. I think the dream is over for Hakeem. It's the Gobbledygooker. Talk about that. Did you watch this when it was going on? Because from my understanding, it was the WrestleMania, and there's this egg that was sitting there like the entire time, like it was some big, great thing was going to come.
Yes, it was leading up to Survivor Series, and there was this giant egg, and there was this big surprise. And I heard Undertaker tell the story that was when he came over from WCW to WWE, and Vince called him up. He's like, "Hey, I've got this great idea for you," and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm going to be the guy coming out of the egg, aren't I?" And he's like, "No, and that's he told him the Undertaker gimmick." And he's like, "I didn't know if it was going to go well, but I knew I didn't want to be the egg guy, so I just was like, yes, I'll be the Undertaker."
Okay.
So yeah, the big reveal was a guy in a giant turkey outfit named the Gobbledygooker, and it was like it was Hector Guerrero. I was like, why are we doing this to Hector Guerrero? It was all who was clamoring for a stuffed turkey to wrestle.
Yeah, and from I remember, like he came out and like the crowd hated it immediately.
Yes,
because it's like the whole big thing is like, oh, what's it? And then it's just like, oh, that.
Yeah,
that is.
What are we 5? What are we
exactly
doing?
Like it's crazy. So, Tugboat Thomas Eugene, like what? They're. I'm glad. Yeah, Eugene is gonna win. Like it's just.
I'll put as much thought into it as Eugene would have. And so
did he ever wrestle? Or was he just kind of out there?
He was actually a decent wrestler. And from what I did a little research, I forget his name.
He was another guy, I think, too.
He was a really decorated collegiate wrestler, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, he wasn't bad.
Okay, I didn't know if they had him wrestle at all. And, like, I don't know what his move was. Like, because, again, I don't want to get canceled. But
so
we grew up knowing a kid that was my age with Down syndrome, Andy Cook, rest in peace. Such a fun kid. And then we would play basketball at his house. His parents were the best. His brother's in prison for murder.
Yeah, that's
a whole nother podcast. But Andy, dude,
was the best.
He was the best. And Andy, when he would come hug you and grab you, like, dude, he was strong. So I don't know if that was
he was a gold medal in skiing in the Special Olympics. Like he won multiple gold medals. Yeah,
I know his buddy. And I could text Dave immediately. His buddy was a great swimmer. Was in the Special Olympics as a swimmer, and I cannot think of his name.
Andy had the foulest mouth you'll ever see, and he was always trying to hit on my wife. Great man. He will be missed. He will be missed.
So, have we heard back on the IRS?
We have not. He said he was going to, and he has not. So,
Ed,
what are you doing, man?
He's probably doing research. All right. Well, we can start. We can stay back here. So, Elite 8, Gobbledygooker versus Eugene, Shockmaster, Brooklyn Brawler. We're waiting to see who's battling the dentist, and then Doink, Bastion Booger. So, let's start down here. Gobbledygooker, Eugene. As much as I like Eugene, like I think if you come out of an egg and get booed, like that's some of the worst.
Yeah, it is. It is
and like,
the worst.
I want to know, like, I want to get in, like, what was the behind the scenes talk of, hey, like, because again, you got the idea, you have to talk about it, and then it gets greenlit, and then you probably have to practice, like, you see it, and it's like, what are we doing? Like, at no point someone's like, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody did, and Vince was like, no, it's gonna.
No, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. So did the Gobbledygooker ever wrestle?
I think he had a couple of matches.
Did he? And then like, this is stupid. I know you love the Brooklyn Brawler, but he's in here to get beat up. and the Shockmaster. So the Shockmaster Gobbledygooker is probably like going to be like one of those where it's like the final four matchup is probably going to be the actual like championship matchup. So we'll go Doink Bastion Booger. Is it Doink just because that, or is
I think it's got to be Doink.
Yeah.
I don't know how it lasted as long as it did.
Well, that's the thing that amazes me is that it was so bad, and then it's like that. So, all right, have you heard back from Ed?
I have not. Since you're the host of the show, you can take Repo Man.
Can we take Repo Man? I was going to send it to Joe, but we're already at 1:10 or an hour 10. So we'll go Repo Man. I don't think it would matter anyways, because I think we're both going the dentist.
Yep.
So
Isaac Yankem, baby.
Yeah, we've got the 1-2 Doink versus Isaac Yankem DDS Shockmaster Gobbledygooker. So it is the 1 and the 2s. It should not surprise anybody that's where we're at right now. So we'll say the Shockmaster Gobbledygooker for the other one. So Isaac Yankem DDS Doink.
When I initially did this, I had Doink, but I think I'm switching gears here. I think I'm going Isaac Yankem because
I was going to go Isaac Yankem. Just like the dentist idea is worse than the clown.
It is
like, because you can throw a clown in any kind of thing, show, whatever, and it's like, okay, it's a clown. We get it. And like, you throw a dent. Like, if there was a minor league baseball team that was like the Tallahassee Clowns, you're like, it's weird, but it's like, if you had one that was the Tallahassee Dentist, and you're like, what? Like, we were just down in Portsmouth, Ohio for a game yesterday, and one of the, like, they had like, it's a huge like conference. There's 3 separate like conferences for these schools down there. And the one, like, they have the banners, and they have like the logo, like an eagle or a rocket and stuff. And there was one, it was like some weird looking, it looked like it's just like one of those squeeze stretch things that have the eyeballs that pop out, and was like,
yeah,
what the heck is that? So I looked up the school, and they're the Jeeps, like the JEEPS. And I'm like, what? So that's what it would be like if it was the dentist. You're like, what?
Or the Florence Freedom became the Florence Y'alls.
The Y'all.
Just because it's painted on a water tower
doesn't mean
is not better than freedom.
No, and it's like, what is it? Like, what's a Jeep? It's not even a Jeep. Like, it's Jeeps. Like, I guess it was I don't know. And why? Like, I don't know. Shockmaster, Gobbledygooker. I think I got to go Shockmaster. The helmet alone, and the fact that it was like both these were like, I think, expected to be something huge. I don't know how you think like a chicken or a turkey.
I don't know how they thought
huge.
the Gobbledygooker was going to do anything, but the Shockmaster was being very pumped up as this guy is going to be the new big guy.
Yeah, and he was not. All right. Isaac Yankem, dentist, Shockmaster. Can the dentist gimmick outlast just the most horrible entrance and costume that there is?
I don't think it can, because instantly in that War Games match, he came down wearing like a hard hat. They changed the gimmick from his introduction to the first match because it was so bad. So I think that alone,
which is crazy, because you would think, okay, is a bad entrance, but the helmet still
give him a chance to redeem himself.
I guess, or you go. You just lean into it. It's like, you know what? He's got to trip every time he gets into the ring.
Every time he gets in the ring.
And the helmet comes off. And that's the shock of it. It's like, oh, he tripped again. And then he's acting like he's hurt. And the other wrestler comes over, checks on him. And then he's like, boom, boom, nails him in the nuts. And that's how he does it. They just like shocks him. Like, see, people got to like, they should have been talking to us. Like, here, like, this is how you redeem the Shockmaster. So Shockmaster wins the worst gimmick. Now it's going to make my job when we do the champions bracket. Like, is this automatically the 16 because it's the worst, or is it like in the middle? Because we've got 2 more to do. I think we're doing sodas next week, and then the hope is that I can get it to where I can edit stuff myself. And on the first, the Gauntlet Megalodon Weird Al 64 song thing, which we're still working on it. 55 of the songs are like, this is it. And then we've just been,
Oh,
there's
wow.
10 other songs and talking to other people. So you and I are going to have to nail that out. We got a couple of weeks to do this. We'll do sodas next week. So again, another fun episode. We are getting close to March Madness. I'm excited about that. It's kind of a lull in sports right now with the NBA on the very cheesy All-Star break.
Oh, did you see the guy who hit the side of the backboard of the dunk contest and fell on his head?
I did not.
It's hysterical.
I'll have to go look at that. No, I did not watch any of it. I just know Dame won the 3-point contest.
I didn't watch any of it. We watched some of the celebrity game, and then last night we didn't watch any of it. I watched the highlights. It looks like the 3-point contest was a fun watch. But
yeah, I mean, like anytime you get guys that they're going to shoot threes, I always like that. It's pretty exciting. And then shout out to Taco Fall, who somehow still plays like professional basketball, played in the NBA. He's a celebrity. He's great. I remember when he played in college, like, dude, he would play the middle of the zone. And it was some small, I can't remember the name of the school he was at, but it was some smaller D1 school because I think they may have made it to the tournament that year. But I always loved Taco Fall. Like, he played for the Celtics, like, too. It was like, he's just too tall, I guess. So, and then you got the NHL is on the Olympic break. So there's really nothing to bet. And why I'm betting some Olympic hockey, which has not turned out well because I'm picking teams that score 8, 9, 10 goals. And then like today had Canada pick 4 guys, round robin them. 2 of them scored just like the other night. And then like I have eight different guys scored. I picked 4 guys from the team. Only 2 of the guys scored. So it's just part of what betting is. So again, thank you so much for the 1,000 subscribers. Tell your friends. Continue to
thanks
watch.
Everybody. I reached out to a bunch of people and everybody came through. So I want to say
it was funny. I got
all my friends, all my family, my work family, everybody who came through to get us over 1,000. I love you.
I appreciate it because I got the text from my partner in crime on the fantasy show, Jeff Tito Thidoff, and he had sent the thing out that we were like, how many were we away when he sent?
You sent me a text that was 55 away, and I closed that gap in 2 days.
Yeah, it was like, I can't remember how many it was when he sent it, but it might have been something like 55 or something or 60. And it was like within 24 hours we got it. I know my wife sent it out and that kind of stuff. So I do appreciate it. Tell your friends, continue to watch the show. We enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it.
Please leave comments.
Please leave comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. If you want to see a bracket, let us know in any of the comments, and I always check them in the most recent episodes when they come out. So let us know. If we do this 10 years, I said, if we do this 10 years, we will end up probably doing about 500 brackets. So we don't want to just be cheesy. Like, all right, this is the bracket for best things that start with W. Which would be fun. Like, so
we can make it work.
I do have some.
They
like,
do it with the Mount Rushmore on Pardon My Take all the time.
Exactly.
It's fun, but yeah, I think we can save that for 10 years now.
Exactly. And then, we'll have March Madness going through the tournament. And then just to give you a heads up, we're still going to do sports because we do bring the madness all year long, as many of our theme songs say. We're going to do, it's going to be smack dab of baseball season. So we will do baseball content at the beginning, trying to go back, throw back to Nate and I growing up, watching This Week in Baseball before we could watch highlights and just pull up anything on YouTube or anything like that. We will just kind of cover baseball the week that happened. We'll talk about at the beginning of the year, like some of our predictions and stuff. And Nate and I love baseball. So we will have baseball.
We love all ball.
We love all ball. Again, as things pop up, hey, the NFL draft or, season's coming up. As things come up, we won't just talk baseball, but that's probably the majority of it during the summer because there's really not much else than baseball in the summer. So, again, thanks so much. Tell your friends, your enemies, your neighbors,